So we're into 2018 now, and there are a few games coming out this year that I'm actually quite excited for. The one I'm probably most excited for would probably be Red Dead Redemption 2, because the first Red Dead Redemption was just amazing. I think that game was just very much near a masterpiece. And it actually takes quite a lot for me to say something like that about a video game, because it's very rare that you have that one game that comes out that has no real flaws to it, or the flaws that they do have are just completely overshadowed by how amazing the gameplay is, the open world, the story, or whatever aspect there might be about a certain game. Whatever flaws there might be, you just you don't even think about them, because the rest of the game is just so damn amazing. And that was the case with Red Dead Redemption. And I also would say that Undead Nightmare was probably one of the best DLCs ever. And DLC is known for often ruining the quality of the main game, because they pretty much, take a lot of the content that was originally supposed to be in the main game and just split it up as DLC. That's what usually happens with DLC. But sometimes when DLC content comes out that actually is worth paying extra for, like Undead Nightmare, like Battlefield, Bad Company 2, Vietnam. Those are probably, just off the bat, my favorite DLCs. And those games, Battlefield, Bad Company 2, and Red Dead Redemption, those games both came out in the year 2010, which personally is one of my favorite gaming years. That's when you had Mass Effect 2, you had Red Dead Redemption, Call of Duty was still amazing back then. Fallout New Vegas, probably the best Fallout game ever, and probably one of the best games ever, like in the open world RPG genre of games. And you just look at how gaming was back then, so many great games coming out. Compare that to the year that just passed, 2017, and you start to realize that the industry has been on a decline. Maybe not financially, because there's more money than there's ever been pumping into the gaming industry. That's partly to do with microtransactions coming in and becoming a norm in our culture, and other things that increase the developer and publisher's revenue. Also, keep in mind that PC gaming grew a lot since that point. Mobile gaming grew a lot since that point. Back then in 2010, 2009, you didn't have your Candy Crush. You didn't have these smartphone games that are just making billions of dollars. So if you wonder why the gaming industry as a whole seems to be doing better than they've ever been, but the quality of games and the overall quality of content that has been coming out over the past few years, over this current generation of consoles, why it's been lower in quality, but the revenue is higher than it's ever been, has nothing to do with quality, has nothing to do with people being satisfied with the way gaming is right now, or more satisfied than they were, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Again, it has a lot to do with just the growth of mobile, the growth of PC, which, the growth of PC is great, growth of mobile not so much. But I think anybody with a rational mind can't say that gaming is better today than it's ever been, or better than it was, let's say, last generation. You can't say that, because you look at the games that were out back then, and all the games that were receiving awards, all the games that were selling, and you compare that to the games that came out this year. First of all, you can't even compare it, okay? So we'll take a look at the best-selling games of 2017, the most critically acclaimed games of 2017. Of course, Zelda won Game of the Year, which, of course, is great. Now, okay, so when I say that 2017 was an awful year in gaming, people might say, well, this game was great and that game was great. Okay, when I say that 2017 was a bad year in gaming, doesn't mean that every single game that came out in 2017 was bad. Rather, it's just me saying that there were more great games like The Legend of Zelda back in, let's say, 2010. Zelda, what was that game? Skyward Sword came out, I believe, back then. Or I think it was the year after, 2011, right? But still, around that time, Nintendo was still kicking ass with the Wii. But you also had Sony kicking ass and Microsoft kicking ass with their exclusives. You had Halo, Gears of War, God of War, Uncharted, Little Big Planet, all those games. Like, every single platform had great exclusives. These days, you can only say that really about one first-party publisher, and that would probably be Nintendo. So yeah, this year you had Mario Odyssey and you had Legend of Zelda. That's great. But back in like 2010, we had that also, and we also had Mass Effect 2, which was great. What do we get this year? Mass Effect Andromeda. Oh, what a masterpiece. What a great game with the ugly female character that they made ugly on purpose to try to promote some stupid feminist agenda that, oh, ugly and unattractive women aren't actually ugly. They're all beautiful. And if you don't accept that, then you're a bigot. And game developers and publishers should embrace this idea. This really shitty idea, by the way, that actually hurt game sales from Andromeda because of that. Because people felt that that BioWare was being too sympathetic towards the social justice warrior cause. But either way, whether you loved Andromeda or hated it, you still can't say that it was a better game than Mass Effect 2. And even when Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out this year, you think that game is going to be as good as Red Dead Redemption 1? Hell no. Not by a fucking long shot, it's not going to be as good. Why? Because, well, first of all, you're going to have the microtransaction situation. Because Take-Two announced that all their games from now on are going to have some sort of microtransaction system. So what does that mean for Red Dead Redemption 2? Instead of the online, free roam system that you had where, you were able to customize your character, you're able to get your, customize whatever horse you got, and you're able to roam around and shit. This time they were going to pretty much have it where it's going to be GTA online with cowboys and horses pretty much. And you're going to have, instead of shark cards, you're just going to get whatever the hell it is, what cash or whatever they're going to have in Red Dead Redemption 2. And you can buy horses, you can buy horse armor probably. I'm just kidding. Who knows? Well, who knows at this point? But you're just going to have so much bullshit in the game that it's going to distract from the actual quality of the game. And definitely the single player is going to suffer as a result of it. Single player in GTA 5 suffered as a result of the online. If you don't think the same exact thing is going to happen in the new Red Dead Redemption game, then you are sadly mistaken, my friend. And this is coming from someone who loved Red Dead Redemption and who is actually looking forward to the new Red Dead Redemption, but is also not stupid enough to pre-order the game that isn't even out yet. That's another problem we have with just the whole pre-order thing. Oh, my God. Everyone's pre-ordering games, complaining, and then when the game comes out and they pre-ordered it, they complain, oh, my God, this game sucks, I wasted my money. Well, don't pre-order your fucking games, you dipshit, because then you're giving them money that they haven't even earned yet. Talk about jumping the gun here. You expect a game that isn't even going to be out for up to a year, sometimes longer. People pre-order these games in advance, and then complain when it sucks. Well, a lot of their sales come from pre-orders, and everyone's pre-ordering their games. So what do you expect to happen? That you're giving them money before the game comes out, before the reviews are out, before people are able to criticize the product. And how do you not expect things to go bad? But speaking of jumping the gun here, what about one of the controversial nominees for the 2017 Game of the Year, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds? Oh my God, that game. Okay, so I guess you could technically call it a game because it is a video game and you can play it and, you whatever. But it's not finished. It's in early access mode, right? So why is an early access game being considered for Game of the Year? I'll tell you why. Because they got nothing better to fucking nominate. And I don't care how popular PUBG is. PUBG is on fire right now. It is popular. It's dwindling down a bit now. The hype is dying down a little bit. But it's still, it's probably one of the biggest success stories of 2017. No doubt about that. I'm sure PUBG fanboys are going to come on here and say, well, it deserves to get nominated because it's amazing, and who cares if it's early access? It's still a fun game, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, back in my day, there was a thing called Minecraft. Minecraft was huge back then. It was huger than even PUBG is right now, okay? Minecraft was the thing back then. Minecraft was never nominated for Game of the Year. It wasn't. And yes, Minecraft back then was in early access, was in beta for years. It didn't even get an official release until like 2012? And it first started coming into early access in 2009, 2010? But while it was in early access, while it was in beta, nobody was nominating it for Game of the Year because everyone acknowledged that this game is not complete. It's not finished. Things can change. And there are also great games that are complete, that are finished, that should be considered for nomination instead. And the reason why PUBG is being nominated, it just shows you how awful gaming is right now, how weak the industry is with their quality of games. Because if there was great quality, a great plethora of games that were out, they wouldn't have to nominate PUBG. Because there was such an oversaturation of amazing games that back then I didn't even know what games to get. There were so many ones, and some of them I didn't even get to experience until recently. I didn't even get into Mass Effect until recently. I didn't even get into like games like Dragon Age and Fable and other games that were kind of, underlooked because there were so many other games out. And these are the games that I spent my holiday money on, my Christmas money on. Not new games. I can't think of a single game that I got that came out this year. Oh, LA Noire Remastered, but that game came out in like 2011, but the remaster came out like last month or 2 months ago. And that's another problem. Most of the games that come out that sell well are remasters. GTA 5, for example, was on the PS3 and it was remastered on the PS4. So it just shows you that gaming is just gone to shit. I hate to be a pessimist. I really do. But you can't say that the quality of content that consumers are getting these days is better or even on par with 5, 6, 7 years ago. You can't. So you look at all the games that came out this year or last year, I guess, and you just can't compare it. Assassin's Creed is nothing like it used to be. Used to be great, and now it's total shit. The new one that came out, I heard was good, but it's not as good as the original ones, definitely. What's another one of the biggest games of the year? You had Horizon Zero Dawn, which was great. Resident Evil 7, which I heard a lot of good things about. But here's the thing: you look at all those games. You notice Call of Duty isn't on the list. Call of Duty wasn't nominated for anything. Why would that be? It used to be nominated all the time, but now it's gone to total shit. Oh, Battlefront 2 was another big game that came out this year or last year. Yeah, we all know about that controversy. It's kind of sad that a game that came out in 2005, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, is better received and is considered to be a better game than a game that came out 12 years later. Pretty pathetic. So you look at all these other games, and it's just like, they're good, but they're nothing compared to all the games that we had back then, right? The most recent game that I played was South Park, the game that came out a few months ago. And it was great, but there were so many more new games that I used to play all the time back then, and I probably only purchased a few games that came out in 2017 because it's just the gaming industry is in such a weak state right now in terms of quality. Maybe not in terms of sales, in terms of money. They're making plenty of it, but that doesn't translate into higher quality of games. Back then, you didn't have all the microtransactions. You didn't have all the bullshit we deal with now with SJW bullshit. That didn't even exist back then, okay? And I hate to sound like an old person that talks about back in my day, because I really shouldn't be old enough to have to talk about back in my day. I'm still considered young. I'm still considered, I guess, a kid, even though I'm legally old enough to vote. But still, I shouldn't be reminiscing on the old days. I shouldn't have to, act like I'm in a fucking retirement home talking about the golden age, talking about the good old days. And the good old days weren't even that long ago. What, 5, 6, 7 years ago? Around that time? It's sad that it's come to this, but it has. And I really hope things change, but I know they won't. And that has, honestly, mostly to do with the idiots that buy these games. The idiot consumers, I would say. Because they participate in this shit. They reward these companies with their money. Even though they like to bitch online about how awful these games are, they keep buying them and buying them and buying them and buying them. Oh, I hate shark cards. They're so stupid. Mommy, can I use your credit card? I'm gonna buy something online or whatever, and it's GTA money. but these same people complain about shark cards. All I have to say, if you don't like the way things are, try to take a stand and try to change things. Try to, as a community, come together. And we've proven that it works. It worked with Battlefront 2 recently. So it's been proven that it works. So some people might say, oh, what's the point? They're just going to do whatever they want to do anyway. No, because then why did they take down the microtransactions from Battlefront 2 if that was the case? But yeah, what a disappointing year in gaming. 2017 was just honestly a total joke. And yes, there were so many great games that were out, but you compare it to back in the day, to not even back in the day, just a few years ago, before we were so focused on remasters and microtransactions and early access games being considered full games now. Yeah, you can't even compare it. 2017 was awful. Please, I hope 2018's better, but I know it's probably going to be even worse. Oh man.